It's all for you. Yeah, yo. There whenever it matters, and even more when you feel like it doesn't. Protect you so you never feel like you wasn't. Know I'm right alongside you. Either that or I'm behind you, but always got you. End of discussion, nothing means more. First one to offer is shoulders for what you reach for. Thought I saw the eyes of the world until I seen yours. And know that I ain't see a better view yet. I'm with whatever, so don't ever you fret. Know that you covered, not a hurdle or a heartbreak. A change what a partake, cause none of them won't ever get comfortable in your walkway. My job is to aware you, fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, I've been down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dad is Not a Noun. My name is Ishmael. What's going on? I tell you people, I create these conversations like mixtapes, man. I'm always dropping one all the time, and I'm gonna keep on doing it because I'm passionate on what I do. I love talking about people. I love changing the narrative for men of color and fatherhood, and just changing the narrative of things and topics that's important to us. And one of the important topics I want to bring up is urban fantasy. And I have a great guest with me. His name is Brian. He is the content manager of J1 Studio. He's an artist, he's a storyteller, and he's in that world of urban fantasy. Brian, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing all right.
Before we get into urban fantasy, one of the key questions I ask a lot of fathers that come onto the show is a lot of people act like the pandemic never happened. What have you learned about yourself as a father, as a man, through the pandemic?
Probably one of the things I have learned is, well, my son's been out of school because he's the only one that goes to school, and just dealing with that, and him being home all the time, and just trying to help him with his schoolwork because unfortunately he had to go to school during the summer, and so it's just helping him adjust to this new temporary lifestyle of being online, not being around your teachers, not being able to hang out with your friends, and just that lack of social interaction. And my job is to basically keep him going with that. Even with just me, it's just keeping that going. So it does make him feel a little more comfortable with what's going on.
Right, and that's important too. But overall, like you personally, like how have you been coping with dealing with the pandemic personally, as a creator of stories? And I know, your mind is constantly going, you want to write, you're going to write. Sometimes you have obstacles in the way. So how have you been able to just keep going?
Just basically just don't stop. Don't stop, because the one line that I constantly tell myself is the only way to fail is to quit. I keep that in mind because that is the only way to fail. I just keep that in my head. I have to keep going. I can't quit. Okay. This pandemic happened. Okay. So I utilize that time to get more done and improve upon what I already have. With this time off, and perfect example, in December, I did catch COVID-19. I did catch it, and I was out of work for about a month. But I didn't lay down and take it, except for the first couple of days. But once I got well enough, I was like, okay, I got this time now. I got to use this time. And so I went back to a couple of my episodes that I've already written for my stories, and I just improved upon them. Making them better, adding scenes I didn't add before, improving my artwork and things of that sort. So I just kept going, just so I can come when this settles down, I can come back stronger. And J1 Studios.
And I think the one thing too is that kids are really mindful of that, and they see that from their parents. So were there situations where your son was watching you through the pandemic, while you were writing?
Yes. No, yeah, he was. He was right there. No, me and him. He was doing his work, and I'm right there next to him doing my work, and we're both just going, just keep on going. No, doing my thing. He's doing his thing, and he just I got to keep it moving. No way he drew that from me, or he learned on his own. Okay, I got to do this. No, and I tell him that we got to keep going. We can't just let this thing beat us down. We got to keep it going.
And I think that's important too, especially what you do too when you create stories. Before we get into that in detail, to a lot of people that don't know what urban fantasy is, what is urban fantasy?
But urban fantasy is, no, as I said, um, like my story it's set in Philadelphia, a fictional Philadelphia that I have created, and my main character is African American. And the fantasy portion is, he does have powers and he has abilities, and those powers come from divine intervention, meaning he is descendant of a god, and that is the fantasy portion of it. And I do delve into like a lot of the mythology and the folklore and supernatural stuff that we are familiar with, but I'm putting my own spin on it, so it fits within my storylines and it suits my characters.
And why is it so significant? To me, I know why it's significant, but why is it significant to have the main character be of African American? Because me personally, you don't see that in that world. So just talk about the significance of it.
Because like I watch a lot of fantasy shows, movies, cartoon series, and you don't see a diverse set of characters. Okay, you don't see Americans or Asians or anything like that. And and this one I actually drew inspiration from, and I remember an old show from the '80s, and it's one of my favorites. It's called Bionic 6. That's what that show is, and that featured a blended family. You had the black guy, you had the Caucasian, and you had an Asian family, and I drew from that show, and I remembered, well, I can do that with my story. I can have different types of people from different types of backgrounds, rather than keeping one linear black background, like unfortunately like a lot of shows did in the '80s. You had He-Man, everybody was Caucasian, and he used the same body type for every single character. And the same thing with the original She-Ra. Everybody had the same body type. That's why I was glad when the new She-Ra came out and it featured, we got different body types, and we got different kinds of people. And that's why I enjoyed that show so much, and that's why I have chosen to do my stories to feature a diverse characters. That's what I wanted. I wanted a diverse characters, not just story in both stories. I want a diverse characters. Go, okay, there you go. This is cool.
Which again is important too, but also the dynamic is like I did my research. There's not a lot of artists or storytellers that's in that world, and why is that?
Because the fantasy world is very. I don't want to say difficult. It's just very fickle. I'll go with that. It's very fickle. Because if you take, again, pulling from something we already know, Harry Potter.
Right.
Okay, pulling from that, I mean, let's be honest. Did you see any other cultures in there? No, he didn't. He didn't. Hobbit, the Hobbit series, and Lord of the Rings. No. So it's like, well, why can't fantasy the world have a diverse cast? And if you play any RPG, you get that in some, and some you don't get it.
Yeah.
You get close. You'll get like in a dark skinned elf,
Right.
or you get like the monk or something like that, some reference to it, but not be that exactly. You get a reference. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to just reference a different person or different a different character. I didn't want to do that. I want to be this person. If this person is a Chinese monk, this person will be a Chinese monk. If this person is an Irishman, they will be an Irishman. If this person is Russian, they will be Russian. So that's why I do what I do, because I want to kind of change it. So it isn't one linear thing. I don't want this for fantasy worlds. I want ups and downs. I prefer that over just we have this linear path for characters.
And what do you think the reason why there hasn't been like a huge calling for it? Because I don't hear a lot in the community asking for more representation. They're kind of used to the linear.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, your answer was pretty much in the question, because they're so used to things being being one way, and it's hard to change it. They're just used to it. And prime example, we're going to do it. Let's not be silly. Black Panther, okay? For years we have had Batman, Superman, Captain America, Fantastic Four, all these Caucasian superheroes rolling around, and then here comes Black Panther, a black character that no one hardly talks about.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about. Introduce them, movie blows up, and everybody loves it. Like, okay, now we got to bring out more black characters, because there's a ton of black superheroes out there, a ton.
Yeah,
and they're not being talked about. Okay, case in point, there was actually a full-on black-owned comic book company years ago. That is where Static Shock started out, and Black Lightning.
Yeah,
and then DC, of course, brought them in, did a crossover, and went, "Oh, these are ours now."
Yeah.
Later, that's exactly what happened. Okay, they pulled a Disney on them. They said, "Oh, these are our characters now." So, bye bye. We don't need you no more. They're ours.
And it's crazy too that you say that too. Is that because when that happens, those characters get lost in the catalog?
Yeah, that's the worst part. They get lost. I mean, they existed and they don't get talked about. I mean, yeah, we got Static Shock, and now we got Black Lightning, but there's more. There's a lot more that just faded away through the pages of time, and just nobody around to give them the spotlight.
And I think too is like when you talk about the spotlight, the onus goes on to us, is that we have to support it, And do you feel like you are getting the support in what you're making, or is it kind of a mixed bag?
Again, it's a little bit of a mixed bag for right now. Because last year I couldn't get out and really do anything last year. Nobody could. So that was the holdup. So as it stands, it probably is a mixed bag. I have gotten people that have said that I've given my books to, and they liked it. They have seen my characters and they liked it. Even especially when I post them on Instagram and DeviantArt, I've gotten folks who ask me to do commissions from DeviantArt, and I'm like, ooh, okay. Well, let me look at character, and I will find time to do this commission for you. So and that right there, and that's how I keep that going. And that makes you feel good. It means, okay, somebody is out there paying attention and going, hey, you got some cool stuff. Can you do mine like yours?
And then also like growing up, you're into this world. Did you feel kind of the oddball out, being, a black man that likes urban fantasy. Like just take me into that a little bit. Like was
Uh,
that awkwardness because you have friends that wasn't into that and they kind of saw you like a nerd or whatever.
well,
Um, like how was it like, growing up into that urban fantasy?
luckily, in my earlier years, that didn't really come out.
Mhm.
Like pretty much all the friends I had were, my friends. We all had the same interests. Especially in the '80s, we all liked the same shows. I would have to say that really came out probably from the mid '90s on to my middle school and high school years. No, one largely because I don't do what is expected of me because I am African American. Like I don't listen to no hip hop or nothing like that. Okay, I'm a rock and roll guy. I listen to rock. I listen to metal. I listen to all the stuff that other people don't listen to.
Right.
And that's one part. And the other portion is once I guess pretty much once the anime scene began to hit in the late '90s, early 2000s, pretty much everybody I knew was already into it.
Mm,
Like I've already had that, so I didn't really have to deal with it, except for those that weren't associated with me. That's the
right.
only ones that were giving me the issue, because was the ones that I didn't socialize with. Meanwhile, my friends were like, "Okay, yeah, okay, I like anime, I like this." They would even give me suggestions of what to watch, and they still do. Anyway, my old friend from high school, we've been friends for 25 years. He still gives me suggestions of anime to watch.
That's
If you get
dope,
as much
man.
as I am.
And that's the one thing too. You have that forever bond, that kinship because of that.
Mhm.
But also too, do you sometimes get kind of eye look being a grown man and a father that's still into that world? Like
Um,
when it comes to like other people that's not per se into that world, and they're like, "Oh, you're like this age and you're still into it." What's wrong with you? Because I get that, but I don't care.
okay. No.
No.
Honestly, I have not run into that for a while.
Mm.
Like I mean, ever since I got with Jason and J1, it's like I don't run into that no more.
Wow.
Like everybody I run into knows me because of J1, and even when I'm on the streets, it's just you see it now. It was years ago. It was this underground thing, and no, that was not cool to be black and nerdy. It was this underground thing that nobody talked about. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and say it because of Jaleel White's character, Steve from Family Matters. I'm not going to lie. Because of him, it was okay to be black and nerdy.
Right.
And then once the 2000s came through, anime exploded. Now we can come out and express ourselves as fans, as geeks, nerds, whatever you want to call it. Like this is what we like. This is what I'm going to wear. And hey, you know, you have your opinions, but hey, this is me. It's plain and simple. I'm not going to pretend to be somebody I'm not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do what's expected of me either. No, I want to do what makes me feel good, makes me feel comfortable, and that should apply. And that should apply to everybody out there.
and,
Do
and
what makes you feel comfortable.
and I think that's important too. And then elaborate the importance of community in that world. Because like you said, like when you collaborated with Jay and got a part of J1 Studio, you felt this family, this authentic family,
Yes. Oh,
So just
absolutely.
elaborate on that a little bit more.
It's just, I mean, I knew it was, again, I knew it was there, but I didn't know that there was a place for it. And then once I got involved with Jam Studios and started meeting more people and from when we started out in a small little community center with 60 folks some odd years ago, and it just grew from there to us being in the hotel with 3,600.
Wow.
And it's just and it's more people coming out, and I don't feel like there's any reason to hide it, because there's folks, I see parents coming with their kids, walking them around and showing support of their child's interests, and even the parents are showing their interest. Like, it takes them back to that time period when they, just childlike innocence, where there was just no cares in the world. You just did not care. You were just free, to be yourself, and just to have that moment again. And I see that a lot when I go to our conventions with J1, and even when I go to my own conventions on my own. A lot of people out there, from my age and even older, like grandparents coming out with their grandkids and coming out and getting into it.
And that's awesome too, man. And dude, this has been an insightful, just a deep conversation. But I do have two more questions for you. One, going back to the father question, like, what advice do you give to your kid about, being happy with yourself and finding community?
I recently had a talk with him actually not so long ago, and I sat him down for half a minute, because he was in a spot, and right now he's going through a phase of trying to find his identity, of who he is and where he is in this world. And I just told him, look, I know what you're going through, and you're trying to find yourself. I went through the same thing. And it's hard, but just understand there's good and bad with what you choose. When you decide to express yourself in whatever way you feel like, understand there's good and bad, but only pick the good. Only pick the good. Do not listen to the bad. The bad does not help. And I told him that. I said, don't listen to the bad. There's going to be a lot of it out here. Okay, there was even some bad towards me when I was your age. And I told him, listen, when I started hanging out with my friends and people and all the other black kids, realized that I was not doing what they do.
Right.
They're listening to, like, who's popular at the time, Public Enemy and all those guys. Meanwhile, I wasn't, AC/DC, Metallica, Megadeth,
right.
Rob Zombie, and all them. they look at me strange, like, wait a minute, you know, you're black. You're not supposed to listen to this. I'm like, what's that gonna do anything?
Yeah.
This is what I like.
Yeah.
So why does it bother you? That's what I told him. I told him, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, and
as long as you are happy, make yourself happy before you can make anyone else happy.
That's right.
That's key.
And I think that's important. I think that's a great advice that can go to anybody. It's just, be happy with yourself, love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a follower, follow your own footsteps.
Absolutely.
But also, where do you see urban fantasy when it comes to the Black experience? Where do you see it in the future?
That's tough. Hopefully I see it expanding. I see it growing more, not have it be this underground thing, and I hope that it goes up from there. More people start to realize, oh, okay, this is different, and it's okay, and I like it. It's different. It's new. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with change. Let me check this out because it looks interesting. No, that's where I hope it does.
And I hope too, because again, it's important that we can't put Black people in a box. We have to highlight all Black people, no matter whatever they like. Not all,
Exactly.
not all of us are into the NBA. None of us are into rap. We're into different things, but it doesn't change who we are. It doesn't change our complexion. And so, and it's important and that's the reason why I wanted you on, is to give that different perspective, because we need more of this. Because if not, people don't know that you exist, that you are creating these world for Black people to imagine that, yes, with the right thought, patience, you can create stories, just as good as the Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings. That
Exactly.
it's possible. Because again, again, I'm
Yeah,
talking to
exactly.
someone who's doing
That just popped in my head for half a second. I just thought about this for a minute just now. I'm thinking, wait, y'all, like, everybody was happy when knows about Black Panther and all that. If you think about it for half a minute, that could be urban myth.
Yeah.
Mystic Flower gives him powers.
Yeah.
He marries in the comics, marries a girl who's supposed to be an African goddess descendant.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
I know. It's there.
And they don't realize it. They don't realize it.
Yeah.
It just don't make sense. It's right in your face, and you don't see it.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to have not the first of but thousands of conversations like that. Because again, you don't know until you talk to people that's actually doing it. And when they're doing it, you got to support them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do with this platform, brother. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. How can people follow you, and what do we expect from you next?
Well, obviously you can find me at j1studios.com is where I will be posting excerpts from both my stories, Xeonexus and Arcana X, and as well as my currently running fan fiction, Death by Roses, Maka Almer from Soul Eater versus Ruby Rose from Rooster Teeth's Ruby series. And as well as do 2 other fanfics I've done, Dante versus Bayonetta, which Screw Attack did a video for that after I finished the story. And it played out exactly as I wrote it.
Oh, wow.
And I saw it, I had to laugh at that one. I had to laugh. It played out exactly like that. And what's for me is, of course, a relaunch of Xeonexus and Arcana X with new story, not new stories, but some changes, and obviously new covers. So we'll be changing the covers, and there's more work, more artwork, and more busyness.
Yes. Busyness is good. And brother, I appreciate you for coming on. All those awesome stuff that this brother was talking about, the links will be description below. And we're out of here. Peace.
All right. See y'all.